Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are getting into something that, let's be honest, probably drives you a little bit crazy. You've paid for Spotify Premium, you're all set for an ad-free experience, and then you fire up your favorite podcast, and boom, an ad. What is going on?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? It feels like you're not getting what you paid for. But the truth is, the answer isn't some sneaky policy. It's actually all about how the technology behind podcasting works. So let's dive in and untangle this.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with that feeling of the premium paradox, then get into the crucial differences between music and podcasts. We'll use a simple newsstand analogy, figure out exactly how ads sneak in there, and then land on the real deal for you, the subscriber.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the core of the problem, which really just starts with a promise and a perfectly reasonable expectation.
And you know what? That is a totally fair assumption to make. I mean, it's the #1 reason most of us sign up for premium, right? To get rid of the ads. But that assumption is based on how Spotify works for music. And as you're about to see, podcasts, well, they're a whole different animal.
And this, right here, is the technical heart of the matter. The way a song gets to your ears is fundamentally completely different from how a podcast episode does.
So look at it this way. Music is what we call a centralized model. It's like a walled garden. Spotify has deals with record labels, they store all the music files on their own servers, and because of that, they have 100% control over everything, including the ads. But podcasts? That's a decentralized model. It's the Wild West. You've got thousands of creators using their own separate hosting services. This one difference, who controls the audio file, is everything.
To make this really click, let's use an analogy, because this really helps. Forget thinking of Spotify as a radio station for a second, and instead, think of it as a giant newsstand.
Right? It makes perfect sense. Spotify is the shop. It has all the magazines, the podcasts, laid out for you to discover. But Spotify doesn't write the articles in those magazines, and more importantly, it doesn't sell the ad space on the pages. The magazine publisher, the podcast creator, does all of that before the magazine even arrives at the newsstand.
So let's just quickly define the two key players here. First, there's podcast hosting. This is not Spotify. This is a separate service that the podcast creator uses. Think of it like a giant digital warehouse where they store their actual audio files.
And then you have the podcast directory. This is Spotify. It's the shiny storefront, the catalog you browse, but it doesn't actually hold any of the inventory. It's just a map that points you to the right warehouse, the hosting platform, when you want to listen to something. Okay, so this is how it all connects. Step 1, the creator uploads their finished episode to their host. Step 2, the host creates an RSS feed, which is basically just a public list of all the episodes and where to find them. Step 3, Spotify reads that list so you can see the episodes in your app. And now for the most important part, Step 4. When you hit play, Spotify doesn't play a file it owns. It just calls up the hosting platform and says, hey, send this audio file directly to this listener. You're actually streaming it from somewhere else entirely.
And if you were to look behind the curtain, you'd see this whole complicated system. Now, you don't need to understand what every box and arrow means. Just know that it's this interconnected web that makes the whole open podcasting world go round.
So that leads to the million-dollar question, right? If Spotify is just pointing to the file, where in the world are the ads coming from? And here it is. This is the big aha moment. The ads are put into the audio file by the creator and their hosting platform before Spotify ever gets involved. When your Spotify app requests the episode, it's already a complete package, ads and all. Spotify has no idea what's content and what's an ad. It's just playing the file it was given. Now, creators do this in a couple of ways. You've got old school, baked-in ads where they're literally just edited into the recording and are there forever for everyone. But more and more, they use something called dynamic ad insertion. This is where the hosting platform sticks an ad in at the very moment you press play. It's pretty clever. And it's why you might hear an ad for a local restaurant in your city. That ad was put there just for you seconds before you heard it.
Okay, let's put a bow on this. We've gone through the tech, the analogy, all of it. So what does this actually mean for you and your premium subscription?
So here's the bottom line. Your premium subscription is doing exactly what it promises. It's giving you an ad-free music experience and removing all the ads that Spotify itself controls. But for the vast majority of podcasts, Spotify is just the directory. The ads are put in by the creators on their hosting platforms. Spotify can't remove an ad that it never put there to begin with.
And this all leaves us with a really big question for the future. The whole reason this ad situation exists is because podcasting is built on this open, independent system. But as giants like Spotify buy up studios and create exclusive shows that they do host on their own servers, you have to wonder, is that open ecosystem going to survive? Or will it eventually get pulled inside the walled gardens, just like music? Only time will tell.